Hey everybody, welcome back to the Grognards Corner, and we are actually here today in the actual corner of the original Grognard himself. Moves all done, we've got a little extra space in the living room, and managed to go ahead and set up a table so I get some actual tabletop gameplay done. And I wanted to go ahead and break out one of my favorite game systems, the Advanced Tobruk System from Cirtial Hit, and do a quick overview, gameplay, review, whatever you want to call it, for the ATS system. And I decided to break out the ATS Briefing number 2 from Cirtial Hit Incorporated, covering the Arab-Israeli Wars of 1948 to 1956. And the scenario we are doing today is a scenario from the 1948 Israeli War of Liberation. And basically, we have a bunch of Israeli defenders holding out against elements of the Arab Liberation Army, the Lebanese Army, and the Syrians. And the Israelis are outnumbered 22 squads to about 9, so it's going to be kind of an interesting one. The Israelis definitely have the higher morale and probably a higher firepower, but the Arabs definitely have got the numbers going for them. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map real quick. We have your basic Tobruk map with a bunch of overlays on it. Did not know what the exact map was going to look like before I laid the overlays down, because I never laid this one out before. So basically we got this big old mountain over here, and that's where the Arab League, elements of the Arab League starts off. And then we have this village where the Israeli defenders are in proper. And the objective is that the Arabs have to capture 18 of these building hexes while inflicting 12 casualty points or 12 victory points worth of troops. And the Israelis get to set up first, and they have to set up within 3 hexes of the main road. The Israelis also have these minefields, these strips of minefields that they can set up. So I went ahead and placed those, hoping to try to channel, some of the attackers in through here, make them run up against the walls or something like that. Don't know how that'll work. We'll see how it pans out. We have these are the Lebanese troops over here. They set up over here. Of course, after I set up on this little southern section of buildings, I realized I'm going to be conceding a bunch of buildings to the Arabs real quick, because they're probably going to push down. These guys are definitely going to probably push into the village, walk over the wall, push into the village. And my original idea was to have these guys kind of here as defense force, and then lay fire lanes across into these buildings as the Arabs move into it. We'll see how that works. And then also on the first turn, we also have some more units that enter from this edge. These guys are the Syrians. They're actually, I think, a little bit more competent than the Arab League and the Lebanese units. So we got some interesting little rules on this one. The Arabs, whenever they're irregulars, which is basically pretty much all their units in this game, enter a building hex. If they are not stacked with a leader, they have to make a morale test. They fail the morale test, they're marked with a pinned marker, because it represents the looting that went on, evidently during the 1948 War of Israeli Liberation. A lot of the Arab High Command would always complain about the Arab irregulars just spending more time looting than they would actually were concerned with fighting, and evidently it ended up losing them several fights, because the regular troops just refused to fight. They just wanted to go ahead and loot and pillage everything that the Israelis had left behind. And the Israelis kind of have a cool little unit. Let me go ahead and take this off. They've got this little Davidka mortar, which is kind of a home-crafted mortar. It's got some interesting special rules. Evidently, they were not that well made. The ammunition for them were not that well made. Every time that you fire it at a hex, well, the first time that you fire it at a hex, the target of the hex and every infantry in the surrounding 6 hexes around it immediately has to take a morale test because of the very, very shocking sound that the shells made when they were screaming in. You know, they were likened to almost like the Stuka, the screams that Stukas made when they were diving in. That happens the first time. After that, the troops are used to the mortar shells coming in. Secondly, since the shells were such crappy manufacture because they used, you know, whatever metals they could to throw it together, if it fires at anything in a hardened hex, like, you know, building, masonry, wood, something like that, it actually suffers a 1-column shift to the right degradation in ability because, you know, it's light metals that just can't penetrate very much. However, on the other side, if it fires at something that's in the open or in scrub or in crops or, you know, something in the open, it gets a +1 column shift to the left, positive, because of the increased shrapnel amount that's being thrown out all around there. So we've got that. They've got another mortar. The Israelis have another mortar here. This is an old French 3-inch mortar. And we've got this little observer right here. The Arabs actually do have an off-board artillery of 75 millimeters, but it has low ammunition, so I'm actually going to have to crack open the rules and take a look at what exactly low ammunition means. I know it's not good for the Arabs. So this is just a kind of a quick initial look at things, and I will be back when I get a few turns played in.